Poland, a country we associate today with being one of the most homogeneous countries in Europe. However, just beneath the surface, there are centuries of different ethnic groups leaving their mark on Poland. One of these groups were the Armenians, whose history in Poland dates back to as early as the 10th century. Join me as we uncover their fascinating untold story and contribution to Polish society that still can be felt until this day. The partition of Armenia between Byzantium and the Seljuk Turks in 1080 caused a mass emigration of Armenians from their homeland. Many Armenians in this period ended up settling in an area known as Ruthenia, which is now modern-day Ukraine. As the Mongols terrorized much of the region later in the 12th century, more waves of Armenians fled the chaos, this time pushing them even further west to the borderlands of Galicia and Volhynia, modern-day western Ukraine and southeastern Poland. These regions were conquered by Polish King Casimir the Great in the 1340s, making these Armenians subjects of the Polish crown. Armenians were welcomed by King Casimir and given not only religious liberty, but also political privileges. Lviv, a city with a large concentration of Armenians during this period, was granted religious, self-government and judicial autonomy for the Lviv Armenians. A national council, exclusively Armenian, was established. This council administered Armenian affairs in full independence, with all decrees being conducted in the Armenian language. In 1367, King Casimir granted rights to the Armenian bishop to build a cathedral in the city. Religious and cultural institutions flourished. The Armenian Cathedral of Lviv, completed in 1370, became a spiritual and cultural hub for the community. The Armenians in Poland practiced the Armenian Apostolic faith, but adapted over time, with some adopting Catholicism while retaining their distinct traditions. The privileges of Casimir the Great and his successors formed the legal and political basis for the existence of Armenians in Poland. From then on, their number in eastern Poland increased. They settled in new cities such as Zamość or Kamianets-Podilskyi. These early Armenian immigrants were merchants, craftsmen, and traders. Their presence significantly boosted the local economy, as they were skilled in trade routes connecting Eastern Europe with the Middle East. The Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth's tolerance for religious and ethnic diversity allowed Armenians to thrive. They became prominent merchants and financiers, contributing to the wealth and development of cities like Lviv, Zamość, and Kraków. Architecturally, their influence can be seen in the Armenian quarter of Zamość, where buildings blend traditional Armenian styles with Renaissance and Baroque elements. Most Polish Armenians were well educated. Thanks to trade contacts with the East, they were able to speak Oriental languages, which was often used by Polish kings and lords. Most official embassies to Persia or Turkey were carried out by Armenians. As the centuries went by, Armenians assimilated further into Polish culture, and the Armenian language was used less and less. Polish Armenians began to modify their surnames in the Polish style, replacing the traditional "ian" suffix with "wits" instead. As Armenian families rose in prominence within Polish society, adopting Polish-style surnames with the "wich" suffix helped them assimilate and gain acceptance, especially among the nobility and merchant classes. The partitions of Poland, 1772-1795, which divided the Commonwealth among Russia, Prussia, and Austria, disrupted the Armenian communities. Despite these challenges, Armenians remained active in Polish society. Many Armenians supported Polish uprisings against the partitioning powers, blending their national identity with Polish patriotism. However, the 20th century brought significant changes to the Armenian-Polish community. Following World War I and the re-establishment of Poland in 1918, Armenians once again found themselves part of a unified nation. At the beginning of the 20th century, there were about 6,000 Armenians in Poland, living mostly in eastern Galicia, today western Ukraine. However, World War II and the subsequent Soviet annexation of eastern Poland, including Lviv, displaced many Armenians. Armenians, declaring close ties to Polish culture and statehood, fell victim to the same horrors as the Poles inflicted by the Nazis, the Red Army, and Ukrainian nationalists. Polish Armenians were not spared in the Volhynian massacre and ethnic cleansing in eastern Lesser Poland. After the war, the remaining Polish Armenian population was fragmented. The Soviet Union annexed eastern Polish territories, including Lviv, Lwów, which had been a major center of Armenian life in Poland. This annexation displaced not only ethnic Poles but also Armenians who had lived in these regions for centuries. Some Armenians resettled in Polish cities like Krakow and Warsaw, while others emigrated to Western countries. Despite the upheavals, Armenian cultural traditions continued to be preserved by small but dedicated communities. Today, Armenians in Poland are a vibrant, though relatively small, community. Waves of Armenian migration during the 20th century, especially after the fall of the Soviet Union, brought new life to the diaspora. Most Armenians living in Poland today have origins from the post-Soviet emigration rather than the older Armenian community. An estimated 3,000–8,000 people are believed to be descendant from the old generations of Polish Armenians. One such notable descendant of the Polish Armenians is television personality Robert Makłowicz, best known for his series of culinary TV programs. Armenian cultural associations, schools, and churches, such as the Armenian Catholic Church, continue to promote the preservation of their heritage. Armenian landmarks can be found all across Poland, including street names, churches, and many kachkars, or Armenian cross stones, can be found in various cities. If you enjoyed this story, hit the like button, subscribe, and join us next time as we uncover another fascinating chapter of Polish history.